We're going to bring on Vanessa Miller. She's no stranger to the show. But Vanessa has a brand new book that just came out a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago today. And she has two of her other books behind her, but her new book is called The Ladies' Hall. So, do you have a copy of The Ladies' Hall handy so you can show us the cover?
I do. It's also behind me, but you
Oh,
can't
okay,
see
but
it
your
for my
head was
big
cut.
head.
Okay.
But here
Okay.
is the
And
ladies' hall.
yeah, really nice cover. And
Is I love it. I love the yellow, the softness of it.
yeah, you've been very busy doing historical fiction for the past several years. And I just realized all of your the three books start with the word the.
That's my publisher's thing. I
Uh,
actually wanted the ladies' hall to just say ladies' hall, but I was vetoed on that. So for some reason they think it's better to
but
start with the. I don't know. I
and
don't know the formula.
it may be. I just really noticed it just now because you have those two covers and then the new one. And the publishers, they have been doing this for, like, this is what they do. So
Right.
they have access to all kinds of data, statistics, focus groups, and all kinds of
Right.
things to know what works the best. So, but you've been doing really well with it. I've been seeing you, your book signings and your travels already that you've been doing. So, tell us about the Ladies' Hall and what it's about. I know it's historical fiction. But it's based on real people.
Yes.
And so, what is it about?
The Ladies' Hall is about Mary Church Terrell, Anna Julia Cooper, and Ida Gibbs Hunt. It is about their time at Oberlin College and how they fought for equality there. I like to say the doors of Oberlin were open, but the hearts were not. Because Oberlin was a progressive college. They were one of the first colleges in the United States to accept both Black and white students. And they wanted them to go to school together in the same classrooms, to live in the dorms together, to eat together. And this all worked well when it first began. But as Mary, Anna, and Ida enter Oberlin, it is 50 years after the founding fathers first built this college, and they are no longer with us. And Oberlin begins to change. And so I tell you that story because I really believe people know Mary Church Terrell and Julia Cooper and Ida Gibbs as the powerhouse women they became and how important they were for education for Black women. But this book is really about their becoming. This is how
Okay.
they learn to fight for what they believe is truly important.
Oh, okay. Now, what made you, and I know um, what I hear from other writers of historical fiction is they'll be working on one project and then some more information, another person comes to light and it kind of plants a seed there and then they proceed from there. So is that what happened with this book?
Well, I had Mary Church Terrell in my sights. I wanted to write about her during her later years. And so I had been studying, all the things that she did, how she spoke with at the Susan B. Anthony's organization. She was one of the only Black women to be able to do that. And she spoke about, this double-edged sword of not only being a woman but also being Black. And so I was very impressed with that because uh, that organization was mostly focused on white women's suffrage, but she
Mhm.
challenged them to also consider Black women in the movement. But a thing happened on the way to writing my proposal for the Mary Church Terrell book. I read this paragraph about Mary, Anna, and Ida attending Oberlin College and them graduating with a gentleman's degree. And I was like, what is the gentleman's degree? And I began to go down a rabbit hole with that. And so then my proposal changed and it became about, because these women were known for women's suffrage, but they began it while they were in college. So there was a ladies' degree and a gentleman's degree. When they enter college, they refuse the ladies' degree, and in order for a woman to be able to take the gentleman's degree, which is the 4-year college degree, you had to take a test to prove that you could handle that rigorous, you know, schedule. And so they each took the test, and of course they passed it, and they were able to be enrolled in the gentleman's degree. So they were fighting, for women's rights long before they began the fight. They just didn't understand what they were doing there.
Now, what years are you covering in the book?
1880 to 1884. So they began at Oberlin in 1880. And so at the end of the book, I give you a few years of their later life because I was so interested in Mary Church Terrell's later life. So I had to add some things in there for later. So
Yeah, there's a couple of things that you mentioned that come to mind. One is that the suffrage movement didn't include Black women. We
correct.
had to fight for that.
We had to
And
fight
that's
for
what
that.
Sojourner Truth had, um, Am I a Woman? Because it's like we weren't included. And we
That's right.
really, our ancestors had to really fight to be included. And, that still pops up from time to time. The
Mm-hmm.
whole concept that Black women are included in
Mm-hmm.
women's issues. We still can
Correct.
get excluded sometimes.
Correct.
So,
And we have to say, hold on, wait
yes,
one moment. We are here. And so I don't think, we have, you know, shied away from saying, yes, we are a woman too. We are here too. We bleed just as well as anyone else. And so, but I believe we stand on the shoulders of women like Mary Church Terrell, Anna Julia Cooper, and Ida Gibbs Hunt. And a lot of people aren't necessarily familiar with Ida Gibbs Hunt, but that's because she was still fighting for women's suffrage and civil rights, but she was doing it more internationally because when she gets married, her husband is a diplomat. And so she has to quit her job because at that time women could not work once they were married. And so she's traveling abroad with him, but she's still speaking out on women's issues. She's writing papers. She also worked with W.E.B. Du Bois with the Pan African movement. And so a lot of people aren't as familiar with her, but that does not mean that she was doing any less work. It was just a lot of it was internationally. They did finally move back to Washington and stay here, but a lot of their time was spent uh, um, international.
okay. And the other thing that you mentioned that is happened later on, but still happens um, from time to time, was when you said that things had changed basically on paper, but not in people's hearts.
That's right.
Um, and because even with Brown versus Board of Education, that was, I believe, 1955, if I'm not mistaken. But they didn't start integrating schools for many more years
Mm-hmm.
in the future because people were resisting it.
Oh
So
yeah, they held it. They held it as
as
long as
long
they
as they could,
could.
as long as they could, until until it just became untenable. They had to move
Yes,
on. And then even then, and in some cases even now, even once they integrated schools, what a lot of them did was they made the newer schools the high schools, and the
mm-hmm.
older schools were for lower grades. So and while they were integrating, they were building schools in all white areas for their
Yes.
kids to go to in a couple of years
Mhm.
passed. So they will still get around. That still happens now.
Oh
So
yeah,
you
I
still
mean
build.
we deal with it in America, and
Yeah,
we
yes,
know it exists, but hey, that's why we our ancestors built these HBCUs because
yes,
we
mm,
needed a place where our children could be educated. And so now it's funny to me that you get people going, well, why do they get HBCUs? And they never understand that it's because we had to have them
yeah,
because we weren't allowed in the other colleges. And now that our kids excel, and a lot of them only want to go to an HBCU. My granddaughter is at A&T, and she proudly, every application she put in was for an HBCU. She wanted to go to an HBCU, and she was accepted at, I believe, all of them. And so, if she may have missed one, but she was accepted at mostly all of them. And so we decided this is where you're going to go because I wanted her closer to home so we could just drive. It was my selfish reasons. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to let you go further for grad school, but right now you need to be where we can just
put
come
our
get you.
hands on you when we need
Yeah,
to.
her mama just
Yeah,
drives on down there quickly.
yeah, yeah. My daughter went to one too. Um,
Yes.
she went to North Carolina Central. So,
Okay.
well,
Okay.
my sister, all of my siblings went to HBCUs. I'm the only one
Yes.
that did.
I see. I grew
Um,
up in Ohio, and even though we have Central and Central State and Wilberforce, I didn't think about it the way my granddaughter thought about it, and so I did not. And so I'm so proud of her. I moved once we moved down here in the South. I think it just really began to ring with her, and she was like, "I'm going to an HBCU," and so I was like, "Okay, girl." Yes, do it. And so yeah, I'm happy that she is enjoying her education.
yeah, my daughter graduated from college in, okay, I gotta get the years right. Okay, 2018. Then she went to graduate school for a 1 year master's for
Hmm.
accounting. But she went to North Carolina State for her
Okay.
master's. But she goes to her homecoming every single year for Central. She still goes, and she
Yeah.
pledged. She pledged Zeta while she was there. But
Hmm.
she knew she wanted to go to Central because my family's from North Carolina, both sides.
Okay.
Yeah, Mebane and
So
Hillsborough.
that's how come she knew she wanted, because
Yeah,
you guys are in
yeah.
Texas. So that's why I was
You're
going, she
right.
went all the way.
Yep.
But that's
Yeah.
why she knew she wanted to go, because all of you guys are from North Carolina. So she would have been knowing about it. Yes.
Right. She used to go visit. My sister went to Bennett and my brother-in-law went to A&T. So
Okay.
she would go visit every summer. And one summer when she was 14, she asked my brother-in-law, her uncle, if he would take her to visit Central.
Hmm.
And because she was one of those kids at 12, she was on the computer looking at school colleges.
Yes.
That was just who she was. So they went to visit, and the day they went to visit, the dean happened to be on campus, and the dean took them all around and showed them and took. So she was sold. At 14,
Yes.
she was sold, and so my husband didn't want her to leave Texas, and
Yeah, because that's
so
kind of far.
yeah, that's far. But my family was there, so
Yes.
at least yeah, family. And so, that's the reason. I knew she would not be happy anywhere else. Her heart was
Yeah.
set on it, and she was a good student. And so the reason that she ended up going to college debt free was because I spent so much time working on getting her scholarship money because that's
Yeah,
the
and
only
you wrote
way
a
that
book
her
about
dad.
it.
Yes, my best selling book, my most successful book is about going to college debt free with scholarships. But it was
That's
because
right.
my husband didn't want her to leave Texas, and the only way I could really sell it was it was all paid
That's right.
for.
That's right.
Ended up being my best selling book and the one I got Image Award nomination for.
Well, because that's an
So,
important book. It truly is to help people understand how to go out and get these scholarships and everything. That's really important because that's a big help with trying to get these kids into school.
yeah, and debt is no joke. That college
No,
debt, it follows you forever.
that's
And
right.
at the time she was like in ninth grade, everybody I knew in their 40s was still paying college loans. And I said, okay, I don't want that for her. I
That's
don't want her
right.
doing that at 40 and 40s and 50s, still paying for school. So that's really my motivation. That and my husband, the only way I could sell it, because he was not for her to go out of state or
Correct.
something. So that's his baby. That's he has four.
Oh no. I
That
know
was
he probably had a hard time with it.
he
Look,
cried the whole
she,
time she was gone.
yeah, she
He
just
cried
down the road and we still be like, why
the
is not
whole- but it goes by
and she
very
is
fast.
not thinking about us.
No, 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 she was not thinking about us. But I didn't think about my parents when I was in college,
I
so I get
know.
it. I get it. So Myra Cook said she enjoyed reading The Ladies' Hall. So you can
Oh,
go
thank you,
there.
Myra.
Yeah, and Curtis Stevenson said he enjoyed reading The American Queen last year and look
Thank
forward
you.
to reading The Filling Station, which I read. I read them both. The Filling
Hmm.
Station is an outstanding book. I loved it.
Thank you.
You love some books more than others,
Oh,
and it's
absolutely.
overall. And I'm historical fiction is my favorite genre,
Hmm.
and I've recently just read some outstanding books. It's
Good.
rare that you read 5-star books like back to back. It's you normally don't get that lucky, but recently I read 3 books that are just really really good. So I look forward to reading
What
more.
were they? Do you want to say
Well,
the name?
okay, yeah, okay. Blood Slaves was the first one by
Okay.
Marcus Redmond. It's about vampires, but it's
Okay.
historical, and the vampires, the one, there's always like a lead vampire.
Hmm.
So he's been living for like 400 years, and he ends up near a plantation. And so the goal is to turn enough of the slaves into vampires to where they could take over the plantation.
Okay. What's the next one?
Okay, it's an outstanding book. The
It
next
was
one is
okay.
it was outstanding. These are all 5 stars among
Hmm.
Inharmonious.
I
It's
haven't heard of that
by
one.
an author named Tammy Hutt. Her first and last name are spelled differently, but it's Inharmonious.
Uh-huh.
And she's based in Canada or somewhere. She's not American. The
Okay.
black author. It's set in like World War II era.
Okay.
Outstanding, outstanding, outstanding.
Inharmonious. Okay.
Inharmonious. And it says a one-word title. And then Red Clay.
Do I have that book? I haven't
That's
read it, but
by Charles Fancher.
and that one was real good too.
Oh, so I read them back to back. And so I'm like, oh my God, it's like a reader's dream when you can read three
Absolutely.
5-star books, one right after the other. And he won the Image Award for debut novel this year. Well, in like January, February, whenever they gave.
Okay.
But he is a longtime editor, newspaper editor, and that was his career. And this was his first book, but it was loosely based on his family history. So it was
Okay.
it was based in slavery time. Uh,
Okay.
outstanding, just outstanding. So I love reading historical fiction. It keeps me grounded, um, because we should never forget that our ancestors were living a nightmare
That's right.
every day of their lives, and they fought so we wouldn't have to do that.
That's
And
right.
so we owe them our best efforts at whatever we're doing because they didn't get an opportunity to do the things that we're doing today. They didn't have those. They couldn't even dream about it.
No, but they fought so that we would
Yeah.
have these opportunities. And
Yes.
that's what I believe that's why we owe them honor We
Yeah.
owe them, uh, where I don't like when I hear people go, well, what they need to understand is we are not our ancestors. Hold on. It is because of our ancestors that we even stand here today and
Yeah.
have what we have, because they fought for us. And people get this idea that, oh, we ancestors just took whatever. No,
No.
each
No.
generation was fighting so that you
Yes.
could stand here today and open your mouth and disrespect them like that.
Well, you're
And
right, unfortunately, but yes, I don't like. And here's the other thing: no, they're not our ancestors because they couldn't have done what they did, deal with
no,
all the stuff they were dealing with, but still planned, made progress, saved money, bought
that's
homes.
right.
They
That's
a
right.
lot
They
of times they
they
were
were
working two
they were
jobs.
planning,
Yes,
and
yes,
strategizing,
yes,
and it is because of those plans and strategies that, I
yes.
mean, that we even have the things we have today. Black Americans buying power is one of the top, you know, in not just in this country, but even around the world.
Yeah.
And that is because of the fight our ancestors fought for us. And so we owe them gratitude. And so I
We
am
do.
always I always say I write my historicals to honor those who came before us, because I believe they deserve to be honored. They deserve for us to remember who they were and what they did for us, so that we could stand in these spaces. And so that's why I write what I do.
Well, I appreciate you and others. I don't write historical fiction like that, but I do put history in the books that I write a lot of times. And my very first book was about group economics, so I understand the power and the importance of pooling resources, and we still haven't learned that. And I wrote that book 18 years ago. Yeah, 18 years ago that book came out. It's still as relevant. There's nothing has moved or changed. In fact, we've taken some steps back um, in terms of just understanding the
Yeah, in the book,
importance
and
of pooling.
yeah, in the book, The American Queen, that I wrote, they pulled together. And that's
Yes.
how come they were able to build this community. They understood that. But people consider that more socialistic. Uh, and we live in a capitalistic society. So people today, they don't necessarily want to do that. But it was how they were able to build a whole community, and build homes for people who didn't have anything right after emancipation. And if they hadn't pulled together, there were a lot of people who were just kind of going aimlessly, because they were basically thrown out of plantations and things like that. And so they were adrift. It was the pooling together that really created this community that they had.
Yeah, yeah. People, this younger generation they have the wrong idea about our ancestors. They, they don't. We had a guest on a couple of weeks ago who wrote a book about his community and how uh, the church, they built a church in like 150 years ago, and it still stands today. And they did it by pooling their resources, and it became like a community meeting place. And so my mother's family did the same thing in in North Carolina. It was a small community. The church, about 15 years ago, celebrated their 100th anniversary. So it was called Warren's Chapel. And my grandmother, my mother's mother,
Hmm.
was part of the group that founded the church. And they built these
Okay.
buildings, they pulled their nickels and dimes and built these buildings with their own hands. And they're still standing, and they're still the communities still have a place to meet, and where the community can come together and still worship together and meet
Yeah.
together. And so the things that they were able to do, they could squeeze so much out of a dollar. They really were really amazing in terms of being able to budget.
Yeah,
And we could learn a lot from them. They didn't live high, you know.
correct.
They weren't into designers. In fact, a lot of them made their own clothes. Even
Yeah,
though my mother didn't, she wasn't a seamstress like that, but she always put our clothes in layaway for school, like for school, or she put them in layaway and paid
that was
on it.
my
She didn't have
mother.
any debt,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah. Don't, if you say I'm not my ancestors, what you really are saying is you are less than your ancestors because you don't get it, and shame on you. And reading historical fiction, that's why I love it. It keeps me grounded because
Absolutely.
it reminds me of just what we have been
Remind you
through,
of what was done
all
for
the
you.
generations of people
Mm-hmm.
that sacrificed so we could be here. Even
Absolutely.
even them deciding to live was a sacrifice because
Yes.
they were living a nightmare.
Say that. Say that.
You know?
There's too many of them could have just given up, but
Yes.
they did not. They chose to fight. They chose to be here for the next generation. They chose to keep on showing up. I
Yes.
am proud of who I come from. I'm proud of I have up on my bookshelf here are my my grandmother, my great grandmother, my aunt. Those are my ancestors. I'm proud of them. They are no longer here with me, but I keep their pictures as a reminder because they never were able to live even the kind of life that I live now. My grandparents, were maids or they worked in restaurants, things like that as maids, cooks. But they each day they kept going out, they kept working, they kept building. My grandmother bought me my first car, and she didn't make much money, but she went and put $500 down on a car for me, and I will never forget that. Uh, we stand on the shoulders of the people who came before us. They built things so that we could then say, okay, I want to go to college. Okay, I want to go do this. I want to become a writer, you
Yeah. Well,
know,
so we could
and
have choices. You
so
know,
we could
have choices. We stand on their shoulders. Well, it's
absolutely.
at the end of the interview, so
Yes.
it went by so fast. But show a copy of the Ladies Hall one more time. I plan to get my copy. I haven't gotten it yet, but I plan to get my copy so I can read it. My to be read shelves are bursting over overflowing. But
Oh, I
historical
know, I
fiction
know.
always goes to the top of the list. Even it always ends up at the top. So I look
Well,
forward to reading it.
thank you so much. And you guys, go grab the Ladies Hall. I hope you will enjoy it. This story is really about Black excellence and becoming and understanding your equality.
Okay, well, I couldn't have said it better myself. So I hope to see you soon somewhere else, Vanessa. I see you all the time,
Yeah,
and
I'm
on
I'm
social
out
media.
I'm out in these streets. I'm resting this week. My next event is on Saturday, and then I head to several more places. But at least I get this week of rest.
Okay. All right. Take care. Have a great
Bye
night.
bye.
All right. Bye bye.